This is advice for those of you contemplating working for a Japanese company anywhere in the world, but especially in Japan. Many years ago, I was working at Matsushita Electric's primary research lab, Panasonic's primary research lab, 800 Kyoto University graduates, and I set up Japan's first corporate AI group there. And they had just won the Deming Prize for Best Quality in Japan, which is one reason that I had asked my Nakoto matchmaker for my wedding to introduce me. And he knows other doctors whose relatives are there, executives there. So I got a job there. And although I got it by sitting next to the chairman by accident on a business class trip across the ocean. So the two avenues converged. But I wanted to work for an actual Deming campaign to see how it's conducted and how it's evaluated, face to face. And so they were kind enough to lend me to Sekisui Chemical during the year and a half, 2 years they were applying for the Deming Prize. So I switched from Matsushita to Sekisui and then back to Matsushita. It was very kind and very unusual because I'm a foreigner and maybe they wanted to get rid of me. But so here I am in the largest house construction company in Japan, which is owned by the largest chemical company in Japan. And what am I, maybe 2 months, 3 months into my work there. And like most of my life, I was only working 2 days a week because companies are so stupid that they've never been able to give me anything I couldn't complete in 2 days a week. And to be honest, the older I got, it was 4 hours a week. 4 hours on Monday morning, and I could do everything, every job that I ever had assigned. And I had a very keen sense of lies and fluff and male stupidity. And so constantly managers were telling me something was necessary, and I went and did the work to find out that no one ever uses those results. No one even remembers where they put them. And so I would pretend to do it for a few minutes or when my door was open, and then I'd do what the hell I wanted. I'd feed ducks. I mean, just to demonstrate my freedom from idiots, I would go feed ducks on Tuesday and Wednesday all day and read detective stories. I went through John McDonnell's boat mysteries in Florida in a year of working at Xerox. You've got to, that'll be another tape someday. The depth of stupidity of the average Fortune 500 corporate vice president is extremely difficult to put into words. There are trained monkeys that would make better employees, certainly more courageous and innovative employees. But at any rate, so here I am in Sekisui Chemical, and my boss's boss calls me into his office. I'd never talked to him directly before, and has me sit down. I said, this is serious. And he said, 2 employees, unnamed, have anonymously complained that, what? Your shoes are too black. This is the educational level of the entire population of this country. This is what drives them crazy. Things like the guy next to them has shoes that are too black. So the stupidity of this and the dishonesty of the anonymity of the complaint, the stupidity of this upper level manager wasting time on it with them, and the triple stupidity of him wasting time on it with me shocked me. So my initial response, intuitive response, was just pull down my pants and fart in his face. But I don't do that kind of vulgar thing. I think about it a lot, but I don't do it. So instead, I just kept quiet for a few seconds, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and my brain was rapidly figuring out what kind of response would be a genuine, honest communication of my genuine, honest reaction, and yet be verbally decent enough to be heard clearly and received as a genuine message. And I found the perfect thing. So I said, listen, I understand these 2 employees and the whole situation, I think. And, traditionally, Japanese have been very good at suicide. It's one of their traditions, one of their hobbies. And tell you what, right down the street, there's this antique Japanese sword shop. I'll go out lunch today, buy one of those short katanas for committing seppuku, and give it to you to give to these two guys so they can kill themselves so we can, because they're waste of space, and we can replace them with, a trained dog or a monkey or a large intelligent banana. He tried not to laugh. And then you could see it flicker on his face, and then he tried to look offended. And then the laugh would creep into the corner of his mouth. And then he just waved for me to go away. And I did. I went out, cost me like $300, went down the street at lunch, bought this short sword, and I knew I couldn't trust him to do anything because he's a cowardly upper manager with no education and just kissed ass long enough to be promoted. And so I couldn't trust him to do anything. And so I had to do something public I had to create an audience that would force him to be accountable. You have to do that with all these weak upper VP type guys. And so I brought the sword up to, I think, 5th floor or 6th floor, wherever I worked, in the elevator, explained the situation that this is so that a couple of employees who complain that my shoes are too black can use it to kill themselves because they're a waste of space. And I'm about to give it to the vice president. And then I got in the lobby from the elevator and explained it to a few more people in the lobby. Then I went to this giant room where we all work without walls so that you can spy on each other, which is how Japanese control each other. And then I bandaged it. I carried it up like this, proudly holding it like a Roman, the torch that the consuls of Rome held, and marched down to his office and said in my gigantic voice, "Here is the seppuku sword, so the 2 employees who complained about my shoes being too black can kill themselves and free up space and salary to be used by a trained dog or a decent monkey or an intelligent banana." And it went viral in the company. Within a week, 15,000 employees had retold this story again and again, and especially those 3 images of the monkey and the banana. No one else in Sekisui ever complained about anything I wore again. It's honest communication is important, but it's not enough. It's got to be interesting, honest. It's got to be a vivid image that does work on its own so that it gets retold because it's more fascinating than this crappy stuff that these idiot vice presidents make everybody do that they call work, 90% of which doesn't do anything or sell anything.